Hey, what's going on? How are you? So, another podcast here at the fireplace. A cognac in my hand, smoking jacket on, and down, chilling. You know, thinking about how the world's going to shit. Um, I mean, it really is at the moment. It's getting ridiculous. Um, Current news is that the northwest of England, or at least the north of England, maybe be putting back into lockdown again, which is sweet, pretty cool. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think the whole thing's trying to make me realize, you got to be thankful for what you have, and you know, in the grand scheme of things, my life's pretty sweet right now. Like everything's going well, and I'm working a lot. Uh, I'm getting to do this. I got time to do this, things like this, where I can just chill out. I'm writing the new Band of Blades expansion, which you guys will get for free because I'm very nice like that. So everything's going well. It's just that and of course my wife to be was just in the UK for 5 weeks, so I can't really um, can't be complaining too much. Things are going pretty well. One thing I will say is that I'm really grateful I got that time now. Now that I see the way that things are going in the northwest, and you know, I honestly think, and I said this earlier, talking to a few people that I know, I honestly think that people want to get back to normal now, and about coronavirus and things like that. People just want to get back to normal, and every shop I go into, Tesco, wherever I go, there's always people in there just ignoring the guidelines, just no masks on, no nothing. I honestly think people don't care. You know, I think they're tired of being told what to do. I think they're tired of being. I think they want to get back to normal. And a lot of people, even when I speak to them, are like, yeah, if enough of us do this, where we just ignore what they say, eventually they'll just let us go back to normal. Because they can't stop us. There's too many of us. Um, and whilst I value that, and that certainly those people have their right to that opinion, I still sort of think, because we were getting on top of it. There was a time when we were getting on top of it. I just think people got a bit too impatient. Said, "Look, for fuck's sake, get this up. Get us back to normal already." Um, but hey, we'll see how things go as we go into the winter. Nothing's changed in my plans so far. I'm still planning to be in the US in January. Yeah, so let's see how things go. Scary time. Scary time right now as the world throws itself into oblivion. Um, so yeah, I had a few Dungeon Master buddies on a Skype call the other day as we were going across, different things we're going to be doing. I've got like a think tank of people that I bounce ideas off of and things like that. And one of the things that one of them said was that at his table, his virtual table, one of the players is a big Critical Role fan. Now, as a few of you will know from live streams and different things like that, I'm not a huge Critical Role fan. I'm not the biggest fan of it at all. It's not my kind of thing. It's too squee. It's too happy. Um, I'm not the kind of person who dislikes happiness, but like it was too much for me. And I've always found Dungeons and Dragons: The Forgotten Realms as a setting far too squee and light-hearted and whimsy and all this sort of rubbish. I look at it as American schlocky fantasy. That kind of fantasy where everyone is speaking in ye olde English, and it just makes me cringe. I'm much more of a Thedas, Dragon Age, Witcher kind of fantasy person. Jar Abercrombie, one of my favourites. Very, 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 very real fantasy. You know what I'm saying? Based in real life. Um, so yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Critical Role. And there's a thing called the Matt Mercer effect. So Matt Mercer, if you don't know, is the DM of Critical Role, which is a really, 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 really popular online stream where people get together. Voice actors, by the way, get together and play D&D. It's about as insufferable as it sounds, because a lot of these voice actors, they're performers at the end of the day, and they will take any excuse to do a voice, right? And Matt Mercer is very guilty of this, and that every single character he does has to have this wacky, over-the-top voice, and he has to be making these stupid faces and things like that. Now, the problem is, the Matt Mercer effect is people watch Critical Role, and especially new people who are new to Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing, things like that, they will watch Critical Role, and they will immediately think that that's how it is. That's how it is, and that's how it should be, and if it's not that, then you're doing it wrong. Okay, and this friend of mine had people come to his table, and they were essentially just, hey, you're not doing it the way Matt does it, so you're doing it wrong. Why can't you be a professional voice actor? Basically, why can't you put as much effort into this as a guy who gets paid probably 6 figures a year just to be a dungeon master? Why can't you do what he does? Like, yeah, because I'm doing this for free, you bitch, and I've written this setting and I've written these rules. Go fuck yourself. Sort of a thing. And anyone who's ever seen me DM, and you guys have if you've been watching the channel, I do voices. It's not like I don't do them. I do voices, but I tend to... The story takes precedence and the characters should take center stage. I will say right now, I believe Critical Role is a good group. I think it's a good D&D game for what it is, but simply because everyone's having a good time. That's the pretty much the only metric on which role-playing games should be, and tabletop role-playing games especially, should be graded against. Everyone seems to be having a good time. So, that to me is a successful table and a good table, and one that if I was invited to, I'd play in. I'd probably get annoyed, like not there, but I'd probably get like. After a few sessions, I'd be like, okay, this isn't for me, sort of thing. It's too much, too full on, it's too squee. But hey, I'd probably get buzzed before and go in there with a buzz on and carry on getting a buzz once I was in there. But I actually picked out a really cool quote from Matt Mercer himself on what's been going on. So, he said, and this is 3 years ago, by the way. This is 3 years ago. A guy called the DM's Craft did a video called "Is There a Dark Side to Critical Role?" Which I will link to this video. And he basically talks about is there a dark side to Critical Role? To which Matt Mercer responds, okay. I would like to chime in on this, folks. Please do not attack or smear this man's video, as it is his opinion, and I'm sure the opinion of a number of people, and they are entirely entitled to their opinion. Basically, his opinion was, what I just said. It's too squee, it's too much, and everyone's going to be thinking this is how D&D is, and it's not. That there are very, very, very many different kinds of tables, and this could ruin the hobby for a lot of people, as a lot of people's gateway to come into the hobby is now Critical Role, and that means, a lot of people are going to be like, well, this is how it should be. And that's not the case entirely. Matt Mercer continues. This is a community that thrives on inclusivity and variety in approach and storytelling. And the magic of tabletop RPGs is that every table is unique. I've fought hard to try and express the importance of learning from many sources around you and finding your own GM style. Come to the table without expectations and just have fun. Unfortunately, the unexpected pedestal our game has been placed on comes with a number of drawbacks, which include a microscope on our mistakes, and the occasional misunderstanding of what we're trying to represent and achieve through our game. It saddens me to think we've done any damage or had a negative impact on a hobby that I owe a tremendous amount of my life's joy to, and wish to elevate to many who never had the opportunity to participate, or gave themselves the permission to try. However, if we have in any way, we can only try to make it right in time. All we know how to do is genuinely be ourselves, have fun playing our game, invite others to come along for the ride, and hopefully inspire others to create their own stories. Regardless of the misunderstandings, Scotty represents another great and important element of the RPG community. And agree or disagree, please respectively engage in this conversation. So, I really appreciate him saying that, because the video is pretty more vitriolic than what I've said here. You know, he goes for a Critical Role and says, is it not good for the hobby? Blatant out there, is it not good for the hobby? So this is the thing, and this is why I want to give Critical Role a bit of a break, because like it's not my thing, but that doesn't mean it's not the greatest thing ever. Is that response by Matt Mercer, and that he understands the impact that the game has, and I think that's got to be pretty hard as someone who's a huge. I love role playing. I love DMing. If I found that any of my campaigns were having a big impact on people getting into the hobby, I would have to say, be very careful, because I'm not like every other GM out there. I've been in tables. Very rarely I've played, but I've definitely I've seen tables online which I would not like at all. I've seen tables that I would like. For instance, one of my favourite tabletop RPG settings is Cyberpunk, which is getting its own game at the end of this year, which is why you won't be hearing from me for 5 weeks. When eventually it drops. But Mike Pondsmith, the writer of that setting, and the writer of the rules for that setting, I wouldn't say is a very good GM. I'm just being honest. Like, whenever I've seen him GM, he sits back, and it's his style, by the way, and if you enjoy that, all power to you. But he sits back, chills out, and he lets people just tell their story, basically, and jumps in every now and again. He stutters quite a lot too, which we all do to a certain degree. But yeah, like, I wouldn't consider, so he is basically GMing granddad to a lot of people, is Mike Pondsmith, because he's amazing. He writes such cool settings. But, I wouldn't say he's a really good GM. I wouldn't even say, to be honest with you, I'm a very good one. I would consider myself a pretty good storyteller, most definitely. I wouldn't say I was like the best, or even a very good GM. I tend to get lost in the details quite a lot, and I get lost in the expectations of what I want it to be. And I think Matt Mercer is a really good paragon of what the hell you should expect going into tabletop role playing. Three things that at my own tables, like three things I expect and pretty much demand from the players is, number one, is a respect of the material. It's taken me a long time to write. It's taken me a long time to go over. So you respect the material. You don't take the piss out of it, and you don't try and wreck it at a moment's opportunity. Number two, you respect other players. So everyone's going to be coming to the table, leaving the heart and soul on the table, and there will be no judgment at the table unless someone says something that is completely beyond the pale, which has happened. In terms of like wanting to do rape scenes and things like that, doesn't happen at my table, but whatever. Number three, it is come to the campaign with a view to being in the campaign. If you have any reservation about being at the table, please walk away and don't be at it, basically. Which is part of the reason why I've stopped the current campaign on the channel that we were doing with a few of my friends. Number one, the viewership was okay, like it was fine, and the engagement was okay too. I just think it was going to a very normal place. We were nearly finished, and people were starting to. There were a few players in there who were sort of not lacking, but like sort of like they were done with it, sort of a thing. Don't forget, we were on session 17, and they were all like 3 to 4 hour sessions, so we had a good run there. But I'm sick of stories not being finished, so I think what I'm going to do with Band of Blades is I'm going to wait until I've got the perfect setup of people, online or otherwise, and then I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be like, okay, here are 3 rules that you must abide by, like those 3 that I just said. If you cannot, abide by these every time you turn up, do not sign up. You know, if you cannot give me 3 hours every fortnight, do not sign up. Yeah, because that's another thing that I can't stand. I'm a bit OCD. I honestly think I'm a bit autistic like this. Um, I hate I hate it when people don't turn up, even if they've got a valid excuse. I just can't stand it. I just yeah, it just really annoys me. I know that's unreasonable, and I know it's ridiculous, but you know, I put a lot of work into my sessions, into my settings, into doing trying to do cool shit for people. Um, I've literally had people in the past. There's one guy, his fucking piece of work, just said, "Hey, sorry, I forgot." Now, this was the end session of a long campaign, the very last one of a long campaign, and he just forgot. So I cancelled the whole campaign. I said, "Okay." He wasn't the only one in the group who had been doing it. Like a few of them hadn't turned up in the past. But they were all, everyone but this one guy were like super up for finishing this campaign. And this was in like late 2014. And I said, look, I'm going to America for 3 to 4 weeks. And then I'm coming back and I'm focusing on university work. I am not doing any GMing for a couple of months when I get back. This is it. I've given you months and months and months, no, weeks and weeks and weeks, let's be fair. Weeks and weeks and weeks to do this final session. I've given you multiple dates to choose from. You all agreed on this date. This guy hasn't turned up, and his excuse was, I forgot. So the campaign is cancelled. Fuck yourselves, essentially. Go fuck yourselves. That was a really bad experience for me. I hated it. And we were even recording it and putting it on YouTube at the time on my old channel as well. And I had to actually go on and you know, tell people why it'd been cancelled, and it was a super bummer. So, you know, I'm that kind of a GM. Like I will bend over backwards for you, and I will anything you want of a character, I will do for you. If your character wants to be, you know, have something that isn't in the game rules, they can have it, as long as you can explain why. I'm a big believer in what you put in, you get out. Like what you put into something, you will get out of it. And I put everything into GMing. When I'm doing it, I throw everything at it, and I go, okay, I'm gonna use every single ounce of my talent, if I have any, as a writer and as a storyteller, to make sure you have a good time. If you can't turn up, or if you just turn up because you want to troll, or you want to be a murder hobo, or you want to throw a wrench in plans because you think it's fucking funny, that's not the kind of person I wanna play with. Quite simple, you know. And I think so. What Matt Mercer's saying there is that there are many, many, many different GMs out there, and there are many, many, many different tables. You just have to realize what table you want to play at. And I'm sorry this went into a big rant on role playing, but I just felt like I needed to say it. I think a lot of people, you know, either have watched me GM or will watch me GM in the coming months and weeks. And, you know, in all honesty, you know, shrug. That's just how I am, you know. I'm a very, I'm a giver when it comes to role-playing. You know, if someone is at my table and wants something, then they will get it. 9 times out of 10. I'll be like, okay, there you go. You've been a good boy, good girl, there you go. You know, you're having a good time. If someone's really getting into it, then again, I will give them my utmost, you know. But that's just how I GM, you know, and I think it was important for me to get it out there and lay down the groundwork for kind of storyteller I like to be when I'm doing these things. So what else has been going on in the world? Football is back. Everton beat Tottenham 1-0 away from home. Thank you very much. That'll do. So very, very, very happy about that. I think they're playing right now. I think they're winning. Let me have a little look. Yeah, 1-0. That's great. Lovely, lovely. So, what else are we going to talk about? I don't know, dude. I'm just sitting here, a bit boring, to be honest with you, just chilling out. So, uh, been playing a lot of Rogue Company recently, and for a game that is essentially, built around making sure that you can give them money, for their cosmetics and things like that. I'd say it's a fantastic game. Like we're having such a blast with it at the moment. One thing about Rogue Company that's a bit shit, and if you haven't played it, Rogue Company is a new squad-based shooter, third-person shooter. Kind of like Fortnite in the way that you play and shoot, right? But it's more militarized than that, so it's more like a simulation, rather than. You do have ultimates and things like that, and you play as two teams of mercenaries going into a map and killing each other and getting objectives, things like that. Really high paced, really, really fast paced, really cool, really satisfying. And but we're having a lot of fun with it. One thing I will say is that I'm not really much of a shooty gamer. To be honest with you, I like my role playing games. I'm a sports games, things like that. But one thing I will say about games like that is that it's all about the team. What me and Steady have noticed when we played it together, we can be having the game of our lives. We can be playing so well, and we still get stomped on if the other two players on our four-man team are not up to snuff. When I say up to snuff, I mean they're just being team players. There are other people in that game who go kill chasing, who will literally leave you alone, and you can revive people and stuff. You'll have people just leave you alone, they'll run off, they'll try and get kills, and screw you, basically. You've got no chance. You may as well just stop playing it, that's it. So that's the one thing that I'm getting from things like Rogue Company. Really, really cool game. I'm really, really enjoying it at the moment. I found my best character as well, Scorch. She's amazing. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. So I recommend it. Heartily recommend it. The Rogue Company. It is $15, I think, at the moment. I think for the beta. Yeah, about $15. They're adding new shit to it all the time, rebalancing things all the time. I'm really enjoying it. Can't recommend it enough. What else? I think that's all the gaming I've done. Because since my wife's gone home, like I've not really been that into it. I've been just writing and doing my own work and stuff. So I've been doing a little bit of gaming. I tried Kingdom Pathfinder Kingmaker again. It just doesn't resonate with me, guys. I've had two of you now recommend that game to me and say, yeah, dude, you need to go back and play it. It'd be so up your alley. As I said, I'm not into the cutesy style of D&D, or Pathfinder. Same thing to me. So when I was playing it, I was getting into it every single time I was getting into Pathfinder Kingmaker. I would either come across a story thing that annoyed me, or that not annoyed me, but just made me go ugh, or I would come across a gameplay thing that made me go ugh, every single time. And there's always gets to one point in the story, and it's after you've got your barony. This isn't a spoiler because you're supposed to get the barony very quickly at the start. After you've got your barony, and just as you're getting things up and running, after you've done the troll quest, right, when you resolve that, I just sort of grind to a halt because I'm like, oh, it's tedium, and I don't care what people say. Look, there's no central story to it. The story doesn't pick up. Okay, so at this point in time, in Pathfinder Kingmaker, you're about 25 hours into the game. Okay. If the story, once you've done that troll trouble, and you've saved the barony from that, that's pretty much it. Yeah, there's a huge story after that, but it takes a while to get going, and it doesn't tell you what the main story quest is, or what you're looking for, what's happening, or who's against you, or what the actual story is. I know it's a story of the barony, it's a story of like establishing your own barony in your own kingdom, but there's no central theme of why, what. Like, why are we doing this? Who's stopping us? Somebody is trying to stop you. There was one cutscene, not even a cutscene, like a cutaway thing, where there was somebody trying to stop us. I don't know. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, it doesn't explain anything. And you get to the end of that Troll Trouble quest, 25 hours in, and you go back to your capital, you're resolving people's problems. So basically, you're doing busy work. You're saying, oh, well, I guess I'll build this temple, and I guess I'll just go and find this lost boy who's out there in the swamp somewhere, and I guess I'll... Like, there's no connecting tissue there. The one thing that I would say that Dragon Age Origins did, because it's still the best game of this type, isometric RPG, still the best game of this type by a long way. I would say the one main thing that game did so well was that it grounded you, and BioWare have always been good at this, by the way, even modern BioWare, Anthem, excluding Anthem, even modern day BioWare are good at this. Inquisition did this very well too. And that takes you and it grounds you in the story straight away. It's like, this is what's going on in the story, this is what's going on, this is what's happening, and this is why it matters, and this is who you are, go. And then it lets you go. It just go conquer, go do what you want to do. And there'll be loads of other things in the story as you're going along that are really interesting. But, you know, there's that main thread. It's always there, keeping you company sort of a thing. Just me, I reckon some people would really like Pathfinder Kingmaker because it lets you go and doesn't tell you what the main story is. But I thought enough was enough. I get to that same stage of the game every single time when I'm 20 hours in. And I'm like... Nothing's happened. I've basically just taken over this barony, killed a dude with an antler helmet on his head, and killed some trolls. I'm not attached to any of these characters. I don't care about them. I'm not even attached to my main character because I don't know who they are. You can tell. By the way, big congratulations to Alcat Games for this being your first game. That's phenomenal. That's really cool. But you can tell it's the first game. Because they don't make any effort whatsoever to have you role play and find out who your character is. They do it like they do it like Critical Role. It's essentially just like that. It's oh you're squee person. You know, get on with it. Go murder some people. But no, like, why am I here? What am I doing? What am I doing? Damn it! Like, tell me what to do. Who am I talking to? Why am I doing this? What's the point? Yeah? I guess that's why I like Band of Blade so much. And why I'm currently writing a supplement for it. Because it gives you that endpoint. It's like, guys, you have to get to this keep. If you don't get to this keep, the world is not going to be warned about this massive invasion that's happening, and everyone's going to die. By the way, there are lots of people in the Legion that you're with who you care about, who are all going to die if you don't get to this keep. Go do that now. It allows you to do different things, you know, but also it acts as like a fantastic bridge to like a large campaign that you're going to be doing later on. As I said last time, it's an amazing bridge. It's an amazing. Okay, you've done the campaign. Now start the actual campaign. You know what I'm saying? So in Band of Blades, in the one that we're going to be playing, this isn't the actual campaign. It's the prologue. It's going to take like 20 weeks of play. But it's the prologue. We're just seeing what's going to happen to the world. So if you succeed, then fantastic. You know, your characters will get to play on again in the next campaign with the main guy defeated, the main bad guy defeated. If you fail, then those characters die, and you'll be making other characters. You know, it's going to be so cool. Another thing I like about the Band of Blade structure is that characters die pretty easily. So a lot of people will be making several characters. They will be dying bit by bit as we go, and there will be hardy survivors at the end. Whether you win or lose, there will be hardy survivors at the end for you to pick up. With later on. So let's say, you know, you have several characters, and Alpha's the one that survives. Well, Alpha's going to be this battle-scarred barbarian who lost against this huge, humongous threat and has lost all of his friends, and that's the character you're going to start the main campaign with. That's so cool. Like the backstory of your character is going to be really long, and that's why with the Band of Blades thing, what's so cool about it is I don't want any backstory from anyone really. I want like 1 line or 2 lines of who you are, why you joined the Legion. That's all you need to know, because you're having your big moment now. So we're going to do a session 0 for it whenever we're doing it, and yeah, it's going to be cool. Won't be happening for a little while. All I can promise you is that it will happen, because I'm putting too much effort into it for it not to. But it will happen. We're gonna have a load of fun with it, and yes, if you've not seen Band of Blades, go and have a look at it. I think I posted the video, a video in the description of the last podcast. Go over things. So yeah, pretty much it. I think I've pretty much got anything else to say. 40k stuff. Oh yes, right, okay. I wanted to do this one thing I wanted to do every single time we were doing this, and that's Games Workshop news. Let me just have a look, see what is going on in the world of Games Workshop. I know a few of my friends were saying, yeah, can you please have a look at Games Workshop every week? So, okay. So it looks like, in terms of investor sales, things like that, Games Workshop's doing really well at the moment. So they are clearly pulling away. The last 3 quarters have shown exponential growth, even over quarantine, which is phenomenal. But I don't see why people like BuzzFeed are surprised by Games Workshop's success in lockdown. Because when you think about it, they're still making their mail order money, right? And the people who can't go to Games Workshop to buy stuff will still go online and buy stuff. And no matter where they buy it from, GW will get a cut, as long as it's not second hand. They will get a cut. And a lot of the second hand market collapsed in terms of the quarantine, because no one wanted to be getting stuff sent from other houses because it might have COVID-19. So you would only buy from, like, quality retailers that you know and you trust. People like Wigglin Games, things like that. And if you buy from stores like that, GW will get a cut. So I don't see why anyone's surprised that they've done so well over lockdown. Also, let's think about what's been closed. They've closed all of their stores over lockdown. So they're not paying electricity bills. They're probably not paying their staff. Right? I know a bunch of friends who are furloughed at Games Workshop. Right? And these are studio people, bear in mind, these are not retail people. Studio people tend to be treated a lot better than retail people anyway, even though the retail people are the ones bringing in the cash for everyone. So they were furloughed. So, Games Workshop is saving a ton of money by just switching the lights off and closing the doors, and just having the trolls in the mail order place sorting out orders and getting people's orders to them. So, and bear in mind as well, the cost of running a business like Games Workshop is ridiculously low. The people who made that company are singularly the most genius people who have ever been on the face of the earth. But what people don't remember is, and I have this conversation a lot with people who say, oh, well, guys who did Games Workshop, geniuses. Yes, number one, yes they are. Number two, not for the reasons you think. They're geniuses because they said, hey, but we can make money doing this and we can make a living doing this. These are not the guys who started Games Workshop are not the guys who are making so much money over the fact that you're paying 1,000% markup on your models. Okay, those are the guys who came after them, who started putting the prices up and up and up and up, who are making a ridiculous amount of money on the back of you essentially buying plastic models that are worth about £2.50 for £25. So, it's just one of those things. I can't see why. I'm literally seeing BuzzFeed, surprise games. Well, in the surprise result, Games Workshop have turned around a profit over the last 3 months. Why are you surprised? Why are you surprised? Do not be surprised. I'm really glad they stopped the bullshit of the politics, of the talking about politics, things like that. I'm really glad they've done no more of that. I was dreading them having a Twitter account that just spewed out rhetoric, like the NFL does. Like I follow the NFL on Facebook, and oh my god, the amount of political left wing bullshit that comes out of that organization right now is just nauseating. And every single comment underneath it is either blatantly racist, gotta say it, right? Blatantly racist, far right, or it's normal people like myself saying, "Who the fuck are you, Mr. Millionaire who gets paid to throw a ball around, to tell me how to think and how to act? Fuck yourself," right? And the other 10% is people getting annoyed at those people saying, "Oh, you're just a racist, you're just a bigot, blah, 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 blah," right? Oh, just shut up. Like, again, it's not your place. It's not your place. It never will be your place. It never was your place. People like Games Workshop, stick your nose out of it, okay? Look, you're not the moral arbiters of any discussion. Okay, you sell little plastic toys. Shut the fuck up. And my stance will not change on that. I know that there was a big hoo-ha last time I did a video on it, and I will do another video on it pretty soon, once I get my thoughts together on things that are going on. But aside from that, I don't think I've got anything else to say today. I think it's all been good. It's all been good. Yeah. In terms of stuff on the channel, I may do some more gaming towards the weekend, maybe tomorrow. I know I did Crusader Kings. Really enjoyed that, by the way. Didn't enjoy the later game stuff where it just sort of started pulling numbers out of its backside and saying, "Oh well, fuck you. This is happening now." But again, me and Steady, when we play games like that, every single Paradox game's been the same. You get to the late game and it starts just doing a random number generator and saying, "Oh, guess you lost, sorry." Moving on, there was a video we saw on the official Paradox, channel, where a lot of not famous YouTubers, but semi-famous strategy YouTubers were invited into a studio to do a big LAN game of Stellaris, which was the big game, Paradox game at the time, and they were doing really well. They were doing lots of interesting things. And then the GM, like the guy who's basically looking at things and commentating on things, he takes over one of the ancient empires with all the cheats enabled and blows them all out of the sky. And then annihilates all their empires. And then just shouts, "Wrecked!" from the other side of the room. And that video had such a huge dislike ratio. And I pointed at that, and I looked at Steady, because we were watching it at the same time, and I said, "That's why we don't get along with Paradox games, because the Paradox games are programmed to do that." They just are. They're just programmed to do that. Towards the end of a campaign, they'll just stomp on you and go, "Wrecked, next." Because they think they're so fucking space stuff and space hard. And it's really annoying. And it doesn't happen to YouTubers. Here's the thing. It doesn't happen to YouTubers. It doesn't happen to streamers. Now, I've got several theories on why that happens. Top one is, they don't play the same build as everyone else. So I've seen the build of people like Co-Carnage and people like that. I've seen their builds. Yeah, they're in the bottom left-hand corner of most of their games when they start up the game. They're not the same as mine. Even after the game's been released, they're not the same as mine. And I can't even get that build when I go on the beta on Steam. I can't get the build. So, I honestly think that a lot of these YouTubers and streamers, they play the game with not cheats enabled, but with like nice mode enabled, where the game just lets them do things that normal people will not get to do, because the game will just stamp their fucking face. Because they want their games to have this super big, super hard reputation. But yeah, I really, 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 really do like. I do love me some Crusader Kings. I think it's really good. I just wish that Paradox would just stop trying to be so space stuff, and would just like write a game with good AI for a change, maybe, or like an actual difficulty curve, not one that just goes from 0 to 1,000. But hey, yeah, you go with what you've got essentially. But that's all for today. All right. Go fuck yourselves. Have a good evening. And I'm done ranting. Speak to you next time.